Hey guys, what is up everybody and welcome to a new video. In this video we're gonna talk about things which I like about Yamaha Tracer 7. But before we get there, let me just tell you how I would approach that. This bike represents quite dense category in motorcycle market, at least here in Europe, because motorcycles in sub 700cc category, they quite popular here for many reasons. They versatile, they not expensive to run. Taxes are not high on these motorcycles as well. They quite efficient in terms of consumption, which is also important here because gas in Europe is quite expensive. And for many people, these bikes are sort of like first proper motorcycles. Many manufacturers try to put as much effort in those bikes as possible because they need to grab this like first clients or first time users, because if they are successful in that, there is a high chance that in the future the person will stay with the brand and will just upgrade to a bigger motorcycle or to a different motorcycle within the same brand. Everything I'm going to mention in this video is sort of how I would feel or what I personally would look for if I would be choosing a motorcycle in this category. First thing which I'm going to start with is the way how this bike looks. And what surprised me a lot is that when you search information about this motorcycle, or when you're watching some videos about this motorcycle, or even when you go to Yamaha website and you have some promo materials up there, this bike doesn't look it just does not appeal to you, because all this like futuristic design, like Japanese style. I mean, it's not something European, right? So you don't get this vibe. You feel like, is it really fitting environment where we live, or where we're gonna ride this bike? And then you see this motorcycle in real life, and you're just like, wow, there is completely different perception of how these bikes, how you accept this bike, right? So the way how you see it when you see it in person, like. And what I personally like about it is the whole color scheme. So this like black color scheme where you have a little bit of glossy, so-called piano black elements, and then you have matte black, and then you have all this like golden elements. All those things are giving you a complete picture. It is so good. You like the way how this bike looks when you see it in person. All these small details surprisingly give you a feel of high quality machine. And the funny part, I was kind of like try to record this bike from different angles. Doesn't matter whether I do it on a camera or on a phone, I cannot get like right angle to sort of transmit that image and for you guys to see it, because then I go to my phone and like for some reason what I see with my eyes is not the same with what camera is able to grab. So the next thing which I definitely like about this motorcycle, and I cannot not to say about it, is the engine. CP2 platform, right guys? That engine is notorious in motorcycle industry. It has been accepted by almost every journalist in the world, and so far it's regarded as one of the most important engines for the whole motorcycle history or industry. When you ride this bike, when you ride it through the twisties or even on highways, I mean, that engine is enough everywhere. This engine is just a little torquey monster which doesn't have a lot of power if you just look at spec sheet. But when you actually ride it, you don't feel the lack of power. You need acceleration, it gives you acceleration. You go through the twisties, you don't really need to play with the gearbox. This will be blast to ride motorcycle and the engine in particular. So I have nothing to add to that. It's just like really nice engine with really good performance. Everyone knows MT-07. Nobody can say anything bad about that bike. That engine, what makes this platform is sort of versatile and engaging and fun to ride. Next thing which I definitely like in this latest iteration of this motorcycle, which been there from 2023, is the cockpit of this bike, right? I like how Yamaha did it. You can read everything on the dash. You can actually switch between couple of layouts. And what I also like is that you have a 12 volt socket on the right and you have USB port on the left. So basically you can connect 2 or even 3 or maybe even 4 devices, which is really smart. I mean, I'm surprised that not many manufacturers actually put all of those elements onto the, front cockpit. They put those ports under the seat, but then they push you to buy connectivity module, which is extra. And here you have built-in connectivity module. I would not say there is a lot of use of this connectivity module. Basically what it allows you to do is to accept calls and maybe read some messages. That's it. So you don't have navigation there, which is potentially could be there because screen is quite big and you have a lot of estate there to display any sort of maps. But also what it gives you opportunity to connect it to My Ride app from Yamaha, which actually allows you to record a little bit more information about your ride. So it can sort of record your GPS coordinates when you ride, so like the whole route which you ride in. Also saves some of additional data from your ride, like acceleration, deceleration, lean angles, and all that stuff. Like, typical Japanese, let's say, gamification, right? I mean, not sure how you're gonna use this information in the future. There is definitely some scenarios where you're gonna want to use that in the future. They give you some big data and you can play around with this big data. The question, do you need it or not, it's up to you to decide. But all in all, I like that technology is getting better with those bikes, and it definitely feels like they want to be on a little bit more premium side. When you ride these bikes through the twisties, through the serpentines, even on the straight lines, it feels planted, Usually you have this feel from like more bigger and sophisticated motorcycles, but with Yamaha, somehow I get this feel as well. I mean, you still feel this bike is kind of like on a smaller side, and I think this comes from several things which been also improved for this generation over the previous one. First of all, better front fork. I think last year Yamaha rebuilt it and they kind of like changed the layout of this fork and the way how you can adjust it. They also upgraded some internals for this fork. Even though it's not upside down fork, it doesn't feel soft. So when you go through the bad terrain or you have this kind of dents in a road surface, you don't feel that much, but at the same time the whole suspension, front and rear, is sort of on a firm side. It can be also adjusted, so it's fully adjustable suspension in front and rear. You can play around with that and make it comfortable for the type of riding you prefer. Braking system was updated last year compared to 2021 generation, so the brakes became bigger and in my opinion they bitey enough, so when you want to stop a motorcycle you don't feel there is not enough braking power. It just like follows the trajectory which you want it to go. So you just like, okay, there is my trajectory, and the bikes it just follows. And I also should mention that the tires on this bike are perfectly matching the whole concept of the motorcycle. So it's Michelin Road 6 GT, and those are one of the best sticky tires you can find in today's market. And I think that Yamaha did a great job just matching those tires with this motorcycle. So handling experience comes from braking, from suspension in general, and rubber which is on this motorcycle. And I would say that all of that I like. There is not much things to say which I don't like, but I mean, I would mention that in my upcoming video where I'm gonna tell you what I don't like about this motorcycle or what can be improved for the next generation of this motorcycle. But so far, if you're talking about things I like, handling is like 5 out of 5. That's how I probably would rate it. Next thing which I actually appreciate about this motorcycle is the purity of this motorcycle in terms of technologies such as ride-by-wire or traction control or ride modes. I'm typically on that side of the game. So I like technology. I always say that technology help you to ride safe. It has a little bit of free play here on a throttle. You can, like, if you stay here, you will feel it. So it's kind of give you a little bit of free play, so you don't really make mistakes. But same time, it's still like cable connection to the engine. So whatever you do, there is no electronics. There is nothing which can be between rider and and the bike or the engine. It's kind of nice raw feeling of purity and connection with the machine and connection with the road. I have some sort of doubts whether it should be like this in today's world, because on the safety side you still have to have some options in terms of electronics. But in general, yeah, purity and simplicity is what I would probably appreciate while riding this motorcycle. As I mentioned before, the goal of this motorcycle is to be as much versatile as possible, and the sitting position here is sort of like upright sitting position, so it's nothing sporty, even though Yamaha is famous for producing sport bikes and all sort of fast motorcycles. So it's not sort of touring motorcycle, even though it's with the Yamaha categorization it says it's touring, but especially if you look at countries where this bike the most popular, such as Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, like in those countries this bike is actually accepted as crossovers, because you can commute on this motorcycle, you can go for a trip to the mountains, to the areas like this. And Europe is famous for having twisties and winding roads in the mountains. And if you look into Yamaha marketing campaign, you will also see that that's the goal for this motorcycle, to be in the mountains. And honestly speaking, it is so comfortable in terms of sitting position, even for me, who is 190. And I'm gonna soon publish the video for a long distance experience with this motorcycle, where I'm gonna tell you how it actually feels after 500 kilometers a day or even more. And there is also a GT version of this motorcycle available here in Europe, which is which comes with a taller windscreen, comfort seat, which comes with the panniers, and all those small extras or upgrades which you might want if you're aim to go long distance. And also what is good here is that it has rubberized foot packs, not only for the driver but also for the passenger, which is sort of nice touch. And the last thing which I want to mention, and that is kind of like my opinion, I like the sound of the engine, I like the exhaust system, I like the way how Yamaha tuned it for this motorcycle. I'm not a big fan of upgrading stock exhaust usually, and I really appreciate when some manufacturers can do stock exhaust sounding really nice as a part of the package. Really good, sounding note of their exhaust system. I would definitely not change it, because I just don't see the reason for doing that if I'm talking about myself. Oh, there is so many bikes coming, guys. You probably can hear that. This place is so busy this time of the year with the motorbikes. So that's pretty much it, like those things which I really appreciate and like in this motorcycle. And I think that Yamaha did a great job of putting all those things together. They definitely improve step by step over some things, and internet cannot just show you how good this bike in terms of overall look and also package, right? First impression which you get from the online, it's not the same what you get when you see things in person, and this bike is actually kind of example of that. That's pretty much it for today, guys. In upcoming videos I will tell you things which could be better with this motorcycle, and also some comparison to other bikes. Leave your comments down below so I know what you guys are interested in, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!